Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of VCTV. We are coming to you live today, all over the place, all over the world, from different corners, different countries, different regions, different states, different time zones. We're also coming to you live on different platforms as well, LATOKEN.com, YouTube, and now Facebook. Whoa, get ready because we are going to be diving into some fun topics today, and that is bio, med, health, and telemedicine. We're going to be talking about everything health and medicine oriented. And we've brought together some of the best and the brightest from around the world to share with you their thoughts and insights and on the ground perspective as investors looking at all of these different areas. We might even talk about security, pharma, AI, and quantum at some point today as well. So stay tuned for that. But before we dive in and introduce each and every one of our guests, a big thank you to you for tuning in. If you're liking what you hear, make sure you click that subscribe button to tune in all day, every day to all episodes of VCTV as we again bring the best and the brightest from around the world to share you their on-the-ground perspectives, thoughts, and insights around different technologies, industries, and regions around the world. And if you'd like to be on the show, like our investors who are about to introduce, and or as an entrepreneur to end the year and start the next on our virtual stage, reach out and we would love to find the right opportunity and industry for you to be a part of as well. And a big thank you to our team at LA Token and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle. Let's go ahead and jump right into introductions. Anuj, welcome back to the show. Quick intro and background for everybody.
Call it deja vu. I feel like I just saw you 15 minutes ago, man.
Maybe.
Yeah. But always great to see you. Introducing myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I've started 3 startups in the last decade. Presently, I'm working as the founder for Yellow Sapphire Technologies and a MedTech company called LATOKEN. Along with it, I'm an international partner at World Business Angel Forum, which is a G20 initiative to promote global financial inclusivity and entrepreneurship across the world. I work with iAngels in Israel and a family fund based out of Buffalo, New York.
Love it. Thank you. Raghu, welcome back. Just as the news said, it's been a short minute or two since I've seen you as well, but we're happy to have you back here on VCTV.
Thank you, Kyle and VCTV for having me. I'm a serial entrepreneur, angel investor, and strategic advisor to companies in cybersecurity, biotech, and medtech areas, mostly some green tech. I have been advising companies recently more in the current pandemic-related technologies, vaccine area, as well as testing, and a little bit of stuff in the more like burn treatment using regenerative skin, from placental material. So some interesting stuff that is in the biotech medtech area I'm working.
And a lot of work as well in the security space as well as we've spoken earlier about this week, and we'll come back to that here in just a moment. Sebastian, welcome to the show. First time guest with Maria and I here at VCTV. Absolutely a pleasure to have you. A little intro, a little background.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, hello, everybody. I'm Sebastian Weiner. I'm a physician by training. I was an entrepreneur. And since a couple of years now, and I'm an investor in the field of digital health. I work for a large private equity platform based in Paris. We invest in Europe for global reach companies and very much focused on digital health, either the clinical transformation or healthcare system transformation, or the transformation of the R&D value chain in the pharmaceutical sector. Happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sebastian. Happy to have you. Wendy, it's always a pleasure. Happy holidays. Welcome. We're happy to have you back here on VCTV. I know you're joining us from afar, but
Yes,
little intro and a little background.
Forgive me. Hey, I'm Wendy Diamond, and I'm a partner in 3 funds focused on blockchain, Bitcoin, that are very interested in anything in that disruptive technology space using blockchain. I'm also a lifelong entrepreneur. I have my own fund as well as I invest in seed startups, many in which are in the MedTech health space. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Wendy. Lubna, it is an absolutely wonderful pleasure to have you back here on VCTV. Happy holidays as well. A little intro, a little background.
Hi, I'm Lubna Dajani. It's really nice to be here again. and to see everybody here. It just remind me of Celebrity Squares, but I'm now dating myself. So I've been involved in, well, my background is in systems architect, and my interest is where technology meets, where physical meets digital, and the impact of technology on human evolution at large. I have been a coach with Springboard Enterprises, and which is women, focusing on women entrepreneurship since, oh God, like 15 years or so, maybe more. And I am a coach or mentor at SOSV Ventures, and also an NGI Trust, which is a Horizon 2020 initiative. I've written a paper back in 2007 on the impact of the delivery of healthcare services in the context of the ubiquitous web, and here we are today. I am chipped myself. I have a card in an NFC chip in myself, and I invest in innovations that bring human and technology together. Thrilled.
Wonderful.
That's enough.
Welcome. Yeah, no, that's perfect, and I can't wait to just go through all of that with
Unpack
you.
the
And
stuff.
yeah, I'm like, wow. And Celebrity Squares, thank you. That's exactly what the reference I've been looking for with Family Feud. So this is exactly, thank you. That is a holiday treat for me right there. Thomas, yeah. Thomas, welcome to the show as well. First time guest with Maria and I here. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. A little intro, a little background on yourself, please.
Absolutely. No, it's great to be here. Super excited to be here. Yeah, so I'm a partner at DRX Capital, which is a joint venture between Qualcomm and Novartis. We focus our investment thesis on the intersection between best-in-class technology postulates like AI, machine learning, IoT, the type of stuff that Qualcomm is really well known for, and providing the infrastructure and enablement around, and then things that are both technologically relevant and clinically relevant to big pharma. So Novartis is our guiding light on the clinical side. We look for things across the entire healthcare value chain. We're not just focused on pharma enablement. We're focused on provider enablement, payer enablement. We believe that a better healthcare system is one where everybody in the value chain communicates with one another, and we feel that digital health is a good mechanism of action there. I've been at DRX for a while now. Prior to DRX, I was a strategic investor on behalf of Providence St. Joseph Health. So I've been in venture capital for a while, with a corporate venture mindset. And then before that, I was an entrepreneur. So I founded my own cancer diagnostic, and we sold that company to Zeiss. So it's great to be here, and I look forward to the discussion.
Wonderful, Thomas. And real quick, since it may be the first time some of our viewers are hearing about DRX, what stage do you typically invest in, or is there anything else to the thesis in terms of location aside from industry?
Yeah, we're so geography agnostic. We've invested in companies all over the globe. Pretty sizable portfolio now, about 15 companies. Our thesis is, again, stage agnostic, but we typically find ourselves investing in kind of Series A and on investments. We'll do some late stage, we'll do some early stage. We have been known to do some seed. So, I think it has to be sort of core to the Qualcomm / Novartis technology combined clinical thesis. If there's a strategic alignment there, and they're there on a financial return, we'll be very supportive.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, and welcome both to you and Sebastian for today's panel, and thank you for sharing that with us, Thomas. And last but not least, Mr. Gary Fowler, welcome back. Happy holidays.
Oh my God, I thought you were going to say something. I thought for sure the wizard or something. He gets me all the time. And Lubna, I was watching, I showed my wife's from Russia. I showed her the other night an old show called The Brady Bunch. And I think this is kind of like that. Here's a story. So anyhow, my name is Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur, done 16 companies. I've been doing entrepreneurship since 21. That was my first company. I've been involved in 2 unicorns. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which was sold for $1.35 billion to Salesforce, company out of Haifa, Israel. It came over to the US. I got hired by Oak Investment Partners as a senior executive of the company, named it, et cetera. And then Eva.ai is a company that I co-founded 4.5, God, it seems like forever now, with David Yang, a billionaire, originally from Armenia, and serial entrepreneur. So we founded that. It's one of the top AI HR tech companies. And now I'm the CEO and co-founder of GSD Venture Studios. We're a premier AI venture studio that goes around the world looking for incredible companies that want to go global. So we curate them from places like, well, today we have one from Stanford University, a couple companies from Germany, Africa, now just starting in Australia, Indonesia, et cetera. So I lived in Russia 14 years, by the way. Actually went to university over there for 5 years. So we're a bit more global, and we're looking for those opportunities. So if they're out there, we love AI. I've written I was just told 103 articles. So I met my goal for the year of 100 articles for last year. And I'm writing 2 books on artificial intelligence right now. And I write a lot about quantum computing. But I'm a country boy from Pennsylvania. You guys are a lot smarter than me. I'm just a guy. I'm just hanging on the bus with you. I love it.
We're happy to have you on the bus with us, nonetheless, Gary. Thank you, and congratulations on crossing that big milestone for yourself, and congratulations to all of you on your 2020 successes as well. It's been a trying year, but nonetheless, we're almost at the end of it. So congratulations for getting there as well. And let's kick it off. I mean, bio, med, health tech, telemedicine, everything medical is on the table for today's discussion, and would love to hear from each of you in your respected areas what you see currently happening. 2020, as we know, was an accelerant year. We saw a ton of technologies and industries intersect faster and more aggressively than we ever have in years previously. What does that mean going forward? And also, what has happened if we look in summary in these respected areas? So Raghu, I'm going to kick it off with you. What is your current view of these areas around medical tech? And I'll put that as the umbrella and let you kind of carry us forward from there. What are you seeing currently around med tech in general?
Yeah, I think 2 areas that I just actually saw an article from Princeton Innovation Center. They're trying to meld privacy into AI, especially deep learning type of stuff. I think cybersecurity and privacy need to get melded into all these technologies because of it's a core technology, and if they grow kind of side by side without actually getting melded, then it's a lot harder to do than if it is like the platforms themselves come together. So I see that as one of the areas that I think a lot of activity could happen, because individually these are important, as we know, but how do they kind of meld together? That is one. The second interesting thing that I came across is it's essentially a marriage of AI and the current kind of hygiene and safety protocols that we need because of the pandemic. So there's an interesting mix of them. They have basically, it uses the camera system, security camera system that is in place, and then looks at compliance in terms of without any personal information, but who is wearing a mask, who is washing their hands, and things like in hospital and other areas. So they actually have a dashboard where they can show so many people among the staff or whatever, or what the compliance rate is and things like that. And this is something now that we have become aware because of the pandemic, I think will be an ongoing thing. It's before it was kind of just people had protocols, but there was no kind of checking on it, right? So these are 2 things that recently came to my attention. I thought that was really cool, having things meld together. That's a new word.
I like it. Thank you, Raghu. Anuj, to you, same question. What are you seeing current state of med tech? Again, as an umbrella, what are you seeing in your current view and investments today?
Talking about this sector in a more high level, I would say it's a year that's going to change once again in 2021. There was this article that came out in Bloomberg 2 or 3 days ago that with the vaccine around the corner, what's next for medtech companies? Are we still going to see the rise of telemedicine? Are we still going to see that rise where people try to consult with the doctor over a phone? Will doctors still adopt it when they have patients coming in? And it's not even 2 or 3 days since that happened, and then there's already a couple of new strains of coronavirus which are now more infective. We were just talking about it. There was the first strain that UK announced a couple of days ago that they said to be out of control, that's 70% more infective. And just while we were on the last call, the health minister of UK announced another strain which came from South Africa, which is again more infective than the usual one. So what was supposed to be a year of change has again become a more the year of uncertainty, where things are again going to be very much uncertain for the first quarter. But as more and more people get vaccinated, that question is going to arise: what's next? What after COVID? Are companies still going to continue on that path? Will users still adopt it, and more or less will doctors still adopt it? So that remains to be the question. That's one thing that's intriguing me right now. That's keeping me interested.
Well, that's what we're actually going to talk about here in just a moment. So maybe we'll get you an answer. And with that being said, Sebastian, I want to come to you next. I mean, current state, what are you seeing in terms of MedTech from your world as well?
So I'll be more, our fund is really focused on digital health. So we'll be specifically talking about that sector. I think, of course, everybody knows around the table is the sector that's, is progressing very fast. Growth numbers are incredible. However, I think what we saw in 2020 and probably pushing into 2021 is that I think it's also a sector that's maturing. It's not only growing, but it's also maturing. Maybe there's a lot of different, ways of looking at it, but I think to reflect, and with the panel, there's 2 points that are interesting. The first one is that it was largely in the previous years a tech push sort of market, and now I think we're going back to a more traditional kind of use case, user experience. And I think companies that are succeeding is a combination of a good technology, scalable, with an appropriate user experience and use case. And certainly we're seeing a lot of pivots with these companies now on this field. But the second, I think, and linked to the first, is that it's a complex market. Healthcare, the user, sometimes the physician, sometimes the patient, is not the same as the one who's going to pay for the technology. And so you have to understand, of course, typically in the field of digital health, for example, what's the impact for your patient? What's the impact for your payer? What's the impact for your physician, your provider? And the key issue here is to align these incentives. I think now a lot of companies coming from a more tech background are trying to understand how you could actually deal with it. And so we're seeing companies really maturing, having, more mature go-to-market strategies and less, let's say, tech push strategies. So I think with the maturation and going into 2021, we'll see more companies, pushing for this and really looking at the user experience and the go-to-market.
And speaking of user experience for just a second, I mean, right now I think I'm seeing shaking heads even before I ask my question. User experience is all over the place on all sides of that table. How do you see user experience maybe shifting slightly as we head into the new year?
Definitely, it will be an area of competition for the companies. I mean, and user experience, of course, user experience is a buzzword, but I think the good way of looking at it is if you're pushing a tool for a patient or physician, or basically clients, what's the cost of changing the way you're working with that new tool? And I think if selling blockchain or selling this technology doesn't make any sense if the physician at the other end or the patient at the end actually is not getting a benefit higher than the cost of change. So I think this is going to increase in the coming years, of course. And I see a lot of companies actually slowing down on the tech side to really increase their message and their cash allocation to understand how to interact with patients, physicians. So for me, it's just going to increase. And it's a normal, sort of state of the market today where of course a lot of these great companies are bringing technologies from elsewhere, but trying to adapt it to the healthcare markets.
Well, and we're also seeing, the rise or really the emergence of cleaner user interfaces, not on the non-buzzword side, when it comes to integrating with applications to products for both sides, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and we've gone. I mean, this is an area for Raghu and also Gary around the data side, and also Lubna. I mean, the data itself, we've got a ton of data. What the hell are we going to do with it? And I throw that word in there because it's like, whoa, there's way too much data, but how do we read it? How do we monitor what's valuable, what's not, what's actionable? This is stuff we've talked about for a decade. We're finally, from some of our discussions here at VCTV and some of my own personal research, we're starting to see that momentum. And so great point, Sebastian, and I'll come back to you on that in just a moment. But Wendy, to you, current state, what are you seeing, whether it be in general around MedTech or even some of the areas you focus around about health and MedTech in general as well?
Okay, thank you so much, Cal. Well, as you know, I am the founder of Women's Entrepreneurship Day organization, which is an official day in the world recognized by U.S. Congress. And what we've seen, you know, as you know, women, female-founded companies only receive 2% of venture funding. So hello, everyone. So, you know, women are making up 51% of the population, 80% of the healthcare workforce, and make around 80% of household healthcare decisions. But truly, like life science research and standard medical practices remain based on men. So, you know, when I was, you know, kind of researching and thinking about this, you know, just 4% of all healthcare research and development goes towards women health issues specifically, right? And then there's this term femtech, right, which is used to describe technologies, products, and services made specifically for women's health and wellness. Well, this is now projected literally to be 60 billion, this whole new industry, by 2026, right? But as you see, like with investments towards women founders, you know, literally it's still really, really low. So, you know, it's my whole thesis on what I invest in, which is mainly impact. So, it, you know, I don't discriminate against men. You know, I'm really focused on more women's issues, right? And a lot of women founders specifically. And of course, my other passion in life is pets. So I'm very also, because, you know, a lot of the companies I'm invested in, including Waggit, which is the Apple Watch for pets, and as well as Basepaws, which is the 23andMe for pets. You know, when you look at the data that they're collecting, this is also going to be used for humans, right? And so, you know, I think we have to kind of open up our minds and to say to ourselves, you know, when we're looking at investing and when we're looking at all these issues, to kind of open it up to enable everyone to have the opportunity to be invested in.
It's a great point, because it's actually something we don't talk a lot, or in general is not talked a lot about around MedTech, again, as an umbrella term here, for a market that is multiple and double-digit billions of dollars, by the way. It is something that's just looked past. I mean, when we talk about generally bio, health, or MedTech, we're talking about us as individuals and as humans, but our pets, again, double-digit billion-dollar market is a huge opportunity from both understanding and collecting data, understanding that data, and then being able to do something with that data as well. I mean, look at the pet insurance market, the pet food market. There's a lot to be had there. And I'm going to hold that because I think that's a big opportunity for next year. And I got a question for you.
Let's not forget that 2% of venture funding goes towards women founders. You know, that
absolutely
is a low figure. And so if we can make it opportunities more available for women founders and to enable them, you know, investments, we can change that dynamic.
Absolutely. And across the board, 2% is way too low of a number, and that should be way higher. Absolutely agree. And looking forward to 2021 and that number being reported as much higher, not just by us here on VCTV, but in general, reflecting in the stats that we see. So I'm with you. I'm with you, Wendy. I'm aggressively with you on this right now. I'm holding myself back. Too much coffee, but I'm with you. Thomas, thank you, Wendy. Thomas, to you, current state, what are you seeing being on all sides of this table, coming from entrepreneurship to now both the CV seed and the venture side? What are you seeing as the current state of MedTech?
Absolutely. Yeah. So Wendy, on the 2% of capital going to female founders, we think that's got to change as well. So Qualcomm Ventures launched an annual female founder event that we hosted, well, almost a year and a half ago now. So it's an annual event that's hosted in July. We unfortunately had to cancel this year due to the pandemic, but that's an issue that we're super bullish on. So I'm glad you're focused on that.
Yeah, I would say, please send that to me, because I work in 144 countries, our foundation. And so we have teams all over the world that work with women entrepreneurs. So I'd love to let them all know about that.
I will put you in touch with the person that's spearheading that after the panel. But yeah, back to trends. So the fortunate part about sort of giving my thoughts on this after everyone's gone is I learned something new to see what everybody's working on, but also becomes more difficult to come up with stuff that people haven't said yet. That being said, I will sort of touch upon a few things people have mentioned, but give you kind of our perspective, if that makes sense. So, I mean, I think first and foremost, right, Kyle, I think you mentioned the digital health has experienced an accelerant. And I typically wear a digital health hat. I do touch on MedTech. Again, we're sort of an enabling technology, which touches on all areas of the healthcare value chain. That being said, there is no doubt there's been an accelerant. Utilization is up. The capital markets have reacted to that. We as investors need to remain vigilant because we know that utilization / reaction in the capital markets isn't going to prevail, right? So I think there are three things that I'm seeing that have been accelerated and have the potential to really have disruptive transformational properties downstream in healthcare, right? So first and foremost is telehealth. So obviously we've seen this huge spike in utilization. A lot of telehealth companies are now really, really appealing stocks to own. Not that they weren't before, but now they're trading at insane multiples. That's exciting to us because we invest in a company called LATOKEN earlier in the year, actually right at the start of the pandemic. And the company is aiming to disrupt the telehealth space by expanding the use of telehealth use cases. So it's a connected device that partners with telehealth offerings to effectuate sort of a brick and mortar like experience between the physician and the patient. So it's a connected device that actually serves as a self-diagnostic for patients and then relays some interesting data and some interesting information to the physician virtually. So essentially providing quality data that physician would only be able to get in a brick and mortar setting, obviously through a telehealth connection. So we're excited about that. And I think, look, telehealth is headed in that direction. I think 5G, IoT, all these things that Qualcomm's a big contributor of and innovator around. All of those things are going to propagate further expansion of these telehealth use cases, right? I think AR VR is a part of that. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's there yet. It's a long ways away on the AR VR front, but hey, it's only a matter of time, right? So absolutely. So I'm super fired up about where telehealth is going, but purely from not from the services side, but from the technology enablement piece of it. I think we're just tip of the iceberg there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The second thing I will mention to Raghu's point, Raghu mentioned I was pleased to hear about the PPE monitoring and the use of technology at enterprises, right? So again, Qualcomm is a big supporter of that. We're an enablement solution. Oftentimes our chip is on some of those cameras, and some of our edge AI chips are processing some of that 4K footage right on the device itself. In order to create a more scalable architecture or security architecture for enterprises. So I'm excited to see employers using said technology. I'm seeing a lot of deals in that space. I'm getting a lot of calls about employers actually picking up the phone and buying these enterprise packages because they're thinking more proactively about how they bring their employees back to campus, right? Mm-hmm. And you need all that infrastructure. So I'm seeing anything from using the cameras to monitor PPE at the hospital, but I'm also seeing employers saying, hey, let's get some connected devices into our ecosystem so that we can track temperature, breathing rates, kind of biometric information for catching patients with COVID in an immediate fashion, right? To avoid a situation, so to speak, right? And so I'm just super excited to see the embracing of connected devices and IoT for said use case, because I think yes, it's an immediate need, but I think it's going to be a long-term need because once you implement those systems, you're not going to go back, right? You need to be ready for the next pandemic. Hopefully, knock on wood, that doesn't happen anytime soon. But look, I think this was our trial run for the big one, so to speak, right? So anyway, that's number two. Last but not least, and then I'll pause. Or shut up, I should say. AI, right? So I think, obviously overused buzzword, used a lot in a lot of different contexts. You know, I wear my Qualcomm hat here. So the type of AI that I'm looking for is, you know, computer vision based AI, you know, processing sound and audio on devices to provide meaningful insights. Things like Amazon Alexa really excite me, and there's some telehealth use cases on that. AI and computer vision gets me excited because using AI-based software in radiology is a trend that I'm seeing quite a bit now. A lot of companies in that sector. And CMS recently announced something. I saw an article, and I'll send it to all of you in November, that CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, will now be reimbursing providers for the use of AI at the point of care. I think that's transformational. And I think that is the equivalent of HealthTech Act saying, hey, we're going to give $42,000 to physicians for adopting EMRs, right? So I think that's the bull by the horn. I think we're, you know, entrepreneurs and VCs are going to be able to ride that wave, and I'm excited to see some deals pan out, and that will likely drive further utilization of AI-based technologies in healthcare. So anyway, those are my 3 trends. Sorry for going on for a while there.
No apologies needed here on VCTV, Thomas. We love to hear those insights and thoughts. So thank you very much, Gary. To you, perfect transition. And Thomas, you should have been on the last panel. We spoke a little bit about the smart home devices, including Alexa, and had a lot of opinions about that. But we're going to hold that. Gary, to you, AI, current state. What are you seeing around MedTech quickly as we're coming close to the top of the hour and want to make sure.
I mean, the situation, Kyle, you know, a few years ago when my father had a stroke and I went into the hospital and, you know, I saw that they were trying to put him in a nursing home. And not only the cost was crazy, I made some decisions. So I wired his house up. I spent about $90,000, and I actually had created a system in his house. They said he was going to die in a week. It's a RPM system that I created. And my father lived 3 years. He said he would never walk and talk again. He did. You know, I'm also a clinical psychologist, so I know a little bit about it. And what I decided then is that there's a lot more that we can do to be able to prolong folks' lives. I was out in Stanford University with some professors and also my MBA class. And for 3 months, we did a project called Living to 120. And again, I'm a country boy from Pennsylvania. I just happen to be around really smart people. So recently, I wrote an article on gene editing and genomics and artificial intelligence. About 4 weeks ago, I was on the expert panel in Europe. I don't know why they called me, but they asked me, it's for drug discovery and AI. And there are incredible advances taking place. And by the way, Thomas, I see them because we peruse the world looking for the most amazing AI technologies, computer vision, et cetera. So think about where we are with genomics. Imagine being able to identify those exact patterns of the bad characters. And then with technologies like CRISPR, which we're going to say, Sebastian's going to say, but they're not accurate. But the situation is with artificial intelligence, they're getting more accurate. And then I write a lot about quantum computing. Look at where it's going to go. We are in a evolutionary time. Of course, telemedicine. I mean, the pandemics has driven us forward in a whole lot of different ways, and we've had to look at Steve Jobs said, think differently. So look at Stanford University and melanoma and be able to look at particular cells and to be able to make some decisions. Dermatologists look at the skin and to make decisions on skin cancer in a kind of an amazing way. Those technologies, taking the smart pill and having a smart pill can go through your body to make some decisions. It's all about what we're talking about is instant access, real time on where the hell our body is. Right now, we take a physical once a year. That's disgusting because that's not how our bodies change. They change quickly. And the sooner you catch it, the better it is. So what we need to do is we need to have those technologies in place that can analyze and deliver. We are inundated, I said many times, with data around us. Now the technology is finally catching up. And now in our kind of archaic or reptilian brain way, we need to move forward and change. And this is a time for change. So what I'm looking at, you know, I focused on artificial intelligence. I built a number of companies in AI because I believe AI truly is a new electricity. And this is the beginning of the 20th century. at the time that Tesla came out with alternating current, and look at what happened over the next 30 years. Now let's add quantum computing on top of that, and our lives are going to dramatically shift. We're going to live a lot longer than we've ever could dream of, and the quality of life has to be better. So I'm excited about it. I love this panel. I love these technologies because we're making a dent in the universe and helping people live a longer and better life.
Thank you, Gary. Lubna, to you. Oh, you're on mute.
Is it okay?
There you go, loud and clear.
Okay.
And apologies, everyone, real quick, just a heads up, we will go over a few minutes. So Lubna, go ahead and get your thoughts in, and then I'll come to everyone for quick closing thoughts. So apologies, go ahead.
So yeah, I think I agree and disagree with some of the things I've heard. I'm thrilled to meet Wendy, by the way. Hi, Wendy. We'll totally be connecting later, I think. And we do need a lot more women, investments in women backed companies. If nothing else, we're much more in tune with our bodies, and there will be a lot more need, as we see, for harmonizing our minds and our physiology and psychology and digitology. That's my new term, digitology, as we are becoming more cyber beings. But the innovations, I mean, honestly, we've had one of my friends who's a VC. It must have been in the early 2000s, who's an Israeli VC who swallowed a pill that was a camera. So we've had the technology for that long. It's adoption. It's our, we've not had, even if we had that, we didn't have the 5G, for example. So having the degree of connectedness, the degree of access, the technology innovations in micro and nano technologies, and obviously, as we've talked about, quantum, then we have graph databases together with blockchain, and when you're bringing the two together, so it's these innovations up and down the stack that the health and wellness, well, if you bring the two together, then you have pharma, wellness, and health, remote delivery of medical services, which is something we've needed forever. It's now that we've had with COVID, we've demonstrated that many of the things that have held us back from advancing or adopting innovation were just that, walls that we have constructed in our minds, be it in terms of how quickly we process a FDA approval, to how quickly we adopt to changing something that we swore we would never do. Like no one would ever be staying at home, would never bet on the fact that we would be paid to stay at home and work. But now, you know, all of these things that we were taking as givens are no longer there. It's like the day after we've stopped asking what is the ROI model, but we've stopped asking that on so many things. And the healthcare and whichever way you slice it, from pharma to fitness, is, if you add that up, now we're talking. And I'll stop now.
No, it's perfect. So real quick, Lubna, where can everyone find, thank you so much for those thoughts, by the way, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
I hope we can continue to do it here on VCTV or anywhere else as Lubna Dajani, at Lubna Dajani.
Wonderful. Absolutely. This is a topic, obviously, we can talk about for hours. If no one else had any deadlines today, we would probably talk about this for another hour and a half. So thank you very much, everyone. For
and
the
by the way,
insight. Just
one last thing. I've worked with Qualcomm. Qualcomm has had enormous interest in health forever, from the early days of telecom. And they've been putting a lot of investment in that space for a very, very long time. So well done. Nice to see you here, Thomas.
Oh, nice to see you. Look forward to connecting afterwards.
Wonderful. Absolutely one of the top CVCs, corporate venture capital groups in the game around health and med tech. I'll give you a shameless shout out, Qualcomm.
I'll echo that.
There you go. You got 3, potentially 4. You got all shaking heads around here. So you got a full panel supporting Qualcomm. With that, and a round of applause, little emoji too. With that, everyone, we are at the top of the hour. I want to be sensitive of everyone's time. So quick closing thoughts. Anything else you have to add? But then also, where can everyone find you and or your firms to continue the conversation? So Lubna, she passed it over to Thomas. Thomas, I'm going to give it the floor to you. So quick closing thoughts. Where can everyone find you online?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm on I'm on Twitter at Tom THOM KL. I'm also on LinkedIn. You could find me Thomas Clues. Just type my name in and feel free to reach out, or thomas.clues@gmail.com. I just throw out my personal email out there. I respond pretty quickly to that. So great meeting you. There
you go. Everyone in the audience, we talked about this every day, all day on VCTV. Reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. And Thomas just gave you, Illumina has got it in her handle as well. They're giving you the opportunity. They're telling you where to be reach them at to continue the conversation. Do it. No excuses. All right. No better way to end the year than start the next. And then Sebastian, thank you, Thomas. Any closing thoughts? Where can everyone find you and your firm as well online?
Yeah, of course. I think one of the closing remarks for me is that in 2021, I think we're going to be starting to see the trend sort of hit the realities of the needs for patients and for physicians, healthcare systems. I think this is going to make digital health really much more mature in the coming years, and a lot of opportunities are come out from that. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Sebastian Weiner, WOYNER on LinkedIn, and my company LBO France on Google and websites.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sebastian, as well. And again, pleasure having you and Thomas here, first time with us here at LATOKEN and VCTV. Gary, quick closing thoughts. Where can you be found?
Yeah, you can reach me on LinkedIn, Gary Fowler. You can reach me on Twitter, Gary Fowler. Love to talk to you. And this is a great opportunity. And our world is changing. Data is around us. Startups look at artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning to be able to make a dent in the universe. So I'd love to talk to you. Thanks, Kyle.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. Anuj.
Find me on anuj@atutum.com, or you can reach out to me on Twitter at Anuj, or you can drop me a message on LinkedIn. We'll be more than happy to help you. MedTech is a sector that's changing, and Gary always says this word, hyper-personalization. I'm sure a lot of companies are working on hyper-personalization in different sectors. We are doing that in medicine. So if you are working on something similar, reach out. We'll be happy to have a call.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anuj. Wendy, close us out. Any closing thoughts? Where can everyone find you?
Woohoo! Sorry about that. Any women out there who are working in the health space, have interesting disruptive technology companies, anyone in the impact space that's going to make this world a better place, you can find me and look at everything I'm doing, all the stuff I'm invested in and my funds at wendydiamond.com. And you can email me right there as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Anuj, Wendy, Gary, Thomas, Lubna, Sebastian, and Raghu, thank you all very much. To our audience, make sure you reach out to each and every one of us. Add context when you do. Let each and every one of us know where you met us, where you heard us, what you want to talk about, and how you want to continue the conversation, because we're all open to it and we'd love to hear from you as well. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you hear, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up, check out the archive as well to tune in all day, every day to VCTV as we bring the best and the brightest, as we did today, from around the world to share with you their thoughts and insights and on-the-ground perspective about different technologies, industries, and regions around the world. And entrepreneurs, what better way to end the year than start the next and joining us here on the virtual stage. Thank you, Gary, and sharing with us your company, product, or service, getting real-time feedback, building relationships with us, and getting exposure to the entire VCTV community. With that, a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me at Kyle Ellicott on all social media. And again, all of our investors, including Raghu as well, online 24/7, 365. With that, happy holidays. We'll be back here soon with more VCTV. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.